Hello and welcome to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show, where presence invites perspective and allows peace. We are coming to you live on newstreamingnetwork.com TV, podcast, and WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. If you are enjoying our content and would like to help us get the word out amongst the people, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Today's topic for our show is Let's Get Curious. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard. Hey, hi, everybody. So glad to have you here. Thank you. And every week, Judy and I get together and do this. We do it because we love to. We love to grow and be healthier and happier and to work on try some tools with you and help you do the same. We are a part of a 501c3 organization, which means you can donate to us and get tax credit. I know it's tax season, so this is something that might be right up in your mind. You could plan for next year and set up a regular payment, and then like that, huh? Because it'll do that for you. And then you can get tax credit when you do it next year. You can find that to donate. Go to our website, www.peacefulempowermentworks.org. And the donate button's at the top of the page and the bottom. We also have a page that's all the shows. You can check out any shows you missed that you want to watch right there as well. And I think that's it.
All right. Well done, Miss Janice. How about you ring us in?
Oh, yeah.
Breath.
I went right through my scalp. I went like, wheel, this pain, actually.
Ooh. Ooh. Well, I feel like we had the most grounded intro that we've had in a couple weeks. Well done, Janice.
Yes, we have. Oh my gosh. Let's see what we can do now.
Exactly. Let's see what we can do with the good news segment.
I love this one. This one is about. I think I saw it on Facebook, and it was from the Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD. I think it's a school district that posted this, and this is an African American girl and her mother in the school library. This is what I'm assuming this is with the librarian, and they were talking about this book that she takes out all the time. We Shall Overcome. That is her favorite book, and she comes in the library and takes it out all the time. And that's where this starts with the bad news, because the bad news is she can't check it out anymore, she's told. And so here we go. Over to you, Celerio.
What your favorite library book is?
We Shall Overcome.
Because you get it like every week, right? So I have good news and bad news. The bad news is you can't check that book out anymore. You're going to have to get some other library books. You want to know why? Because the author sent you your own book. Yes, he signed it for you. It says to Zoe with love and blessings. And that's not it, Zoe. Here's that one. That's not it. He also sent you his newest book. And look, he signed it for you too. Isn't that cool? And he sent you a whole bunch of bookmarks that you can share with your friends for some of his new books. What do you think? Isn't that so cool? Oh, I love that. I emailed him and he said, yes, give me your address. And it came yesterday. Just for you. You have your own copy? Very cool.
Yeah.
So
you get this wonderful. It sounds like she likes to read, so I'm going to assume intelligent, but you don't have to be intelligent, I guess, to like to read. African American girl who loves the book We Shall Overcome, takes it out every week, and someone went to the trouble of contacting the author and getting her own copy. That's autographed, and another one, and that's great.
Yeah, just that librarian taking that little extra step, noticing that this is a book that this girl checks out every week and loves it. Paying attention. being aware of what's going on. I absolutely love it. And not to lose the irony on the topic of the show today, but the librarian was just curious enough to ask, well, what if I emailed this guy? Would he send me an autographed copy for my student?
And she was so thrilled. She like screamed. You can tell it meant the world to her.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. I love that so much. Excellent job, Janice. Well done.
Yes. Yay.
Yay. All right. Let's move on to Attitude is Everything. What is your weekly affirmation for this week?
Yes. It's been a rough week for me. I don't know about you all. It's been full plate. But today, I choose to define success by my own standards. Mm-hmm. I release external expectations and embrace what truly matters to me. Yes. And again, I got that from Karma Gaia.
Yes. Choose to define my success by my own standards, not the standards that have been placed upon us by the external world and our old family beliefs and patterns. Yes, I love that. I release external expectations and embrace what it truly matters to me. We talked a little bit about this in the pregame.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is sounding so familiar right now.
I mean, we didn't use these exact words, but that's exactly what we were talking about. Yeah. Yes. What is your priority? And it's interesting, doing this show and talking about peaceful empowerment. Peace has really become a priority for me. So when things come up, I do find myself asking the question, is this going to feed my peace? Or is this going to feed the chaos? Is this going to feed my limitations? Is this going to feed anything other than my peace? And sometimes, the decision has to be, well, suck it up and do it because this is what has to be done today. But do it. I always all right, if I have to do this, then help me do it with a happy heart so that at least I can move through whatever it is I'm doing in the most joyful place possible. And but yeah, just even stopping to pause and ask, be curious, ask that question. Is it going to feed my peace or is it going to feed something else?
Yeah. It's interesting. I've been seeing some negative posts about people upset about politics. And I can remember 8 years ago, I would be part of feeding that and feeling that. And now I look at that and I think, wow, that is really anti-peace. I can't think of the word. Destructive. I guess that's the word. To your psyche, to your peace, to yourself. I just read a couple of these and I was like, wow, I don't do that anymore. That is great.
It's great for you to recognize that too.
Yeah.
Because it does. It makes a very big difference. I discovered the 30-day snooze button on Facebook. And that has my body just can't take the division and the name calling and all the negative. If you want to post truth, okay, my body can accept that. But the name calling and all that kind of, it's like 30-day snooze, 30-day snooze, 30-day snooze.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and it is really, it feels very empowering because I get to pick and choose what's on my feed. And B, it's me reinforcing that desire for peace within my body. So I have found that extremely helpful, Janice.
I mean, how can you be at peace? I know because I wasn't. So, but just the contrast and trying to find the peace wherever you can get it and however you can get it, as opposed to the, oh my gosh, he did this and this and this and that and that. And that's wow. The energy. I mean, I'm just validating, I guess. My lesson is that the energy from I was in that place and that people are still, it's just chaos and destructive. Divisive, destructive, and divisive. Yes.
Absolutely. So, it's I think it's a testament to the work that we've been doing with ourselves. and with
Yeah.
our relationship with ourselves, that we allow ourselves that peace. That peace is a priority. And
Yeah, I was talking to someone who's strong, strong feelings about one side or the other, and it doesn't matter. So I'm not gonna, that's what I'm going to say. And I was talking to them, and I said, I actually do, this show. I was saying the show, and why I started this whole thing, this whole journey was part of it was it was 8 years ago. It started when I was really getting sucked into the chaos, into the destruction and the divisiveness, the and I was explaining to her. I said, but right now that's not. I mean, I feel bad because by sticking my head in the sand, maybe I should be doing something and action. And then Judy says, Janice, maybe some of us, it's just showing peace and presenting peace and bringing out peace. And I was explaining this to her, and it was the neatest feeling because it was very, very validating. Because when you finally saying it to somebody else, in that way, in that situation, it was wow, this is great. This whole peaceful empowerment works for me. That's what all this is about, to start bringing that divisiveness and that chaos and the hate and the anger and fear. I still have the fear, but taking all that and trying to put it in a place where maybe we can be brought together and have some love and peace and harmony. And how can love, peace, and harmony, how, when you have that, how can the other part exist strongly?
right.
How can it be a strong force when you've got this too? So it's about overcoming that force, that energy, with love and peace and harmony. And yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Very
It's fantastic. And it all started with being curious. You were willing to try something different. I was willing to try something different because what we had been in was not working for us anymore.
Yeah.
So we had to ask, what if?
Chris came up to me and was talking about, what about world peace? And I was like, yeah, world peace. I didn't get it. And I did. I opened up and I said, okay, what is she talking about? I didn't get it. But I get it now. And that curiosity really is the great entry place to me to finding these wonderful things.
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely the thing that kicked the door open for me. It gave me permission to ask questions and dig deeper and see what if, without the fear of failure. And I know you and I both have that in common, that was a big thing, that fear of failure. And curiosity, all of a sudden it was like, okay, it's okay to be curious. It's not a bad thing. And yeah, I think that leads perfectly into our pearls of wisdom for this week.
Ooh, let's see it.
Curiosity is one of the great secrets of happiness. I know when I started to ask more questions and figure out why I had the patterns I had and why I had the beliefs that I had, it gave me the opportunity to make some new choices. You take what works for you and you move on, you throw the rest away. And that curiosity has definitely been a foundational pillar in me finding more happiness in my life.
It's just the word curious. It for me, it helped me make a transition, a shift from judgment of myself, because I think curiosity is great. I love curiosity, and it's safe. It's safe. It's good, and it's just a little shift from the judgment place. Where, oh, what are you doing? You can't do that. You can to the hey, I don't know. And I like curious. That's a good word.
Why? Yeah, it went from what's wrong with you? What are you doing? To oh, well, why am I doing this? And that really changes everything. When you're asking for the why without judgment, then you get to see the reality of what's going on. Yeah.
It's the non-judgment. It helped me switch out of the judgment, the word curious.
Yeah. That whole judgment place, basically it's, you got a bully hanging over you with a whip, just waiting for you to screw up so it can beat you. And curiosity helps calm that. At least it did with me. It helped calm that bully part of me. And I love how you said it, it was a nice shift, a graceful shift, shall we say.
Yes. A curious shift.
Exactly. All right. I feel like we actually have some time to move into Pathways of Peace before commercial break. And I think
Ooh.
it's aligning perfectly. Nice. Yeah. So, the topic is let's get curious. So what is the definition of curious? It's marked by desire to investigate and learn. The example, the cat was curious about its new environment. And Janice just got a new cat not too long ago that has been very curious about the dogs.
Yeah, and learning some lessons too.
Now, it was interesting because the synonyms for curious grabbed my attention. So that's why I thought I'd include them today. Synonym inquisitive suggests impertinent and habitual curiosity and persistent quizzing. Prying implies busy meddling and officiousness. What is that word, Janice?
Officiousness.
Officiousness.
Yeah, I don't exactly
find the definition, but I did not do that.
I'm not sure what it means, but I know how to say it. Officiousness.
And with meddling, I can only assume that it has something along the lines of being a busybody.
Yeah.
Nosy is marked by inquisitive interest in others' concerns. And odd, exciting attention as strange, novel, or unexpected.
Well, those aren't very positive.
No, and that's what made me start thinking. One of the first things when I hear the word curious, I think of that curiosity killed the cat. So that's not very encouraging and supportive of being curious.
Oh, weird.
So I really started asking the question, okay, so if these are the things that pop into mind, what was the message we were being told about being curious? A good example, Curious George was a cartoon that I enjoyed watching and watched it again when Maddie was little. Curious George always got himself into trouble being curious.
Yeah.
Curiosity killed the cat. That's the only part of the parable that I know. Apparently, there's a second part to it that isn't said as much. It's curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. Interesting.
I like that part.
Yeah, I like that part too. So Janice and I have been challenged to start using GPT as a tool, and I'm struggling with that a bit. But I went ahead and decided I'm going to go to the chat and I'm going to ask it, why would people be discouraged from being curious? And this is what the great and wonderful wizard of chat spewed out to us, Janice. Number one, we are discouraged from being curious. Number one, control and authority.
Oh, that's true.
Institutions, whether they're schools, workplaces, or governments, sometimes discourage curiosity because questioning the status quo can challenge existing power structure.
That's true.
All right. Number two, fear of discomfort. That makes sense. I get that. Curiosity can lead to uncomfortable truths. Yes, it can. It may push people to question their beliefs, traditions, and societal norms, which can be unsettling. That is something that we actually promote here. Finding out the why. Being curious as to why you have the patterns you have, why you have the belief systems you have. Okay. 3, efficiency over exploration. Many systems prioritize productivity and efficiency over exploration. Curiosity takes time and can be seen as a distraction from immediate tasks or goals. We don't have time for curiosity. Shut up and do the dishes.
Yeah.
That might have been something that was said in my home.
just quickly came out, so it must have been.
Exactly. Cultural norms. In some environments, asking too many questions is seen as disrespectful or nosy, especially if it challenges elders, authorities, or deeply held beliefs. Okay. Fear of failure or judgment. People may avoid being curious because they fear making mistakes, looking ignorant, or being ridiculed for exploring unconventional ideas. Number 5, I can highlight big time because I was that teachers would start, they started that trend of there are no stupid questions. Bullshit. There are stupid questions. And I, growing up through school, believed that's all I ever had was stupid questions. So I sat silent.
Yeah. True.
Because I had that fear of being ridiculed and looking ignorant.
Yep.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about these discouragements from being curious? Did you experience any of them growing up?
It's hard. They're not my natural associations at this point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm questioning, okay, so what did I do? But I do know that which makes me think of anytime you want to change something, you'd have similar, because that's what they're assuming. They're assuming you're not curious because you want to understand or respect what you're doing. I see the assumption that curiosity is about wanting to make a change or to take away power. It's interesting. So I'm more struck by that because when you're working in especially male dominated workplace, there's a lot of don't rock the boat and don't question me, and that's not how I am. And I actually went into the field of quality assurance for most of my career life because I like to see why. I mean, that's my natural thing is why. So why did that happen? What that's, and it's not a bad thing. It's wanting to understand. So yeah. It's interesting that that's true.
Yeah. And if we could, I remember when Maddie started that phase of everything was why. Why? Come on, baby, you got to put your shoes on. Why? Because we're running late and we need why? Why do you have to be at work at a certain time? Why do we, all the whys? And I would get frustrated because I didn't have answers and I felt stupid again.
Oh,
I'm ignorant. I don't know the answers to all these things. And then I finally got to the point where I was just honest with her because, honey, I don't know. But hey, let's find out. Let's explore that. If it's something you really want to learn about, let's dig in. And yeah, it was, I would like to say that it was part of my healing journey, but honestly, that was just survival because there were so many things that I had to say, I don't know. Or there were times my dad was quick on making up things.
Yeah.
It's a story of my own, and this is why.
Oh yeah. Boy.
Yeah, so I finally just got to the point where, you know what? I don't know, but let's find out. And that curiosity was something that I think once I stopped trying to make things up and answer the questions just so it looked like I had an answer, it allowed me to be more curious too. And it was always interesting to me because I did a show called Journeys with Judy, a local show here, where I would go and interview people. And they would finish the interview and they would say, this was very nice. It's very comfortable talking to you and blah, 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 blah. Your questions are great. I haven't thought about some of those things in a very long time. And I would just laugh and say, well, thank you. It's because I'm so nosy. And I don't even know. I don't remember who it was. They looked at me and they said, you're not nosy. You're curious. You're very interested and invested in finding out about us, about the people that you interview. And that's a very good trait to have.
Wow.
Which helped me really think about, okay, well, why have I been saying that I'm nosy? Because I want to know about people. I love to hear about people from different backgrounds with different experiences and their journey and how they got to where they were. But I was like, that's being something that's nosy. Like, that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's curiosity because it is, it's real. There is a true interest. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I'm off with that, Ray, but that's what.
Wow.
I was guided to
well, it's interesting because you do have more of a negative associations with the word curious than I do.
I do, yeah.
For me, I was able to, at the beginning, be very good at explaining to my child every answer why. Well, because we've got to get to work on time. Why? Because what you really want me to make. There was an end to it. I didn't have infinite patience, but I liked explaining things. I like it when someone asks me, so why do you do that? As a matter of fact, I hate it when people make assumptions. Please ask. They just assume that you don't know or whatever. So, well, I've given it a lot of thought, and this is my thought on that. So I don't know.
So you've always been that way. That's great.
Yeah, I guess I have.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah. That's why the word curious for me is a positive thing. Yeah,
it is now. And you would think, as spending 24 years as a PE teacher where you break skills down, I wouldn't have such a negative response to being asked questions that I don't know the answers to.
Yeah. Well, that's that whole feeling stupid, feeling like you're not good enough,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I figured my 2-3-year-old, I could probably know the answers to the questions.
All right. I think this is a great place for us to take a commercial break, and we will be right back. And we're back. Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Work Show with our topic, Let's Get Curious. So
you do know that makes me think of a song.
What
Let's
song?
Get curious, curious. I want to get curious. Let's get into Carrie.
I love that. That's exactly what Jen has been singing every time I say, let's get curious.
How can you help it?
Great minds, Janice. Great minds.
Oh, that's right.
So before the break, we talked about the ways that curiosity was introduced and encouraged throughout our lives. Janice had a very positive experience with curiosity, and I myself, and it's interesting because after sharing about those experiences, I don't know that I was discouraged by the external about being curious. It was my internal dialogue that discouraged me from being curious because of that whole ignorant and appearing stupid. So that was all on me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's an association for a reason, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about the proverb, curiosity killed the cat, and how I never knew there was a second part to that. Curiosity killed the cat is a proverb used to warn of the dangers of unnecessary investigation and implies that being curious can lead to danger. Interesting. And we talked about Curious George and how, he would always get into shenanigans because of his curiosity. He would get into trouble. But the second part of that proverb, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back.
Funny how people don't know that part.
Yeah.
As much.
Yeah. So when you started this healing journey, as we'll talk about it, it was curiosity, a desire for greater understanding is what I'm hearing, and a desire to try something different is what kind of opened the door for you. Is that true?
Well, initially, I mean, the bottom line was is I was in an awful dark place and I needed to come out.
Okay.
And I was looking for ways, different tools or things I could do. Oh, there you go. So I was curious about what I could do to help bring me out of this dark place, because in stay out of it. But yeah, I had to get out,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know how. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I tried groups and different, all kinds of different things. It was really great.
Yeah. You were willing to try something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was after that first Reiki session for me that I got a glimpse of something. I didn't know what it was, but I was willing to explore it. And that curiosity really sparked in me to learn about what was going on within me, why I was so numb. And I had a million reasons to be happy and joyful in my life, but I wasn't. So what the heck's going on? And I would say one of the biggest challenges that came was, I was sitting in a healing circle, and I was told by the facilitator that I loathed myself. She looked at me and she said, "Do you realize that you loathe yourself?" And I was like, there are some things about me that I don't like, but I don't loathe. That's a heavy word. And she said, "Well, that is what you're dealing with. So, okay, all right. So if that's what I'm dealing with, how the hell do I get out of that?" And it was all about self-talk. We talk about that internal dialogue. We've talked about the critic. We've talked about that voice that goes on. And it's actually Jen's dad would talk about, we say such terrible things to our body, and that automatic voice that just runs on a narrative constantly that we don't even recognize, we don't even hear anymore, is that constant negativity. You're not good enough. You're not this enough. You're not that enough. He would say, picture your heart in your hands and speak words of loving kindness and support to your heart. So we have a friend, when we all embarked on this journey of speaking to our heart daily, she took it upon herself to make us beanbag hearts. Yeah. So that we had something tangible to hold on to and to look at and to speak into. And it's the perfect weight. It's nice and soft. That many times during a show, I sit here and I play with it. It's like a fidget spin. But we committed to talking kindness and love and support into our heart every day. And having this made it something that I could look at and I could see and I could picture the words going into this beanbag. And then I would hold on to it. I would sleep with it in my hand. Wow. So that I felt like I could receive these words. I'm speaking these words of kindness into my heart, and I'm going to hold on to it so that it can go into every cell of my body.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And it was just something that I did. I didn't know if it would work, but I knew I had to do something different. I knew that voice wasn't supporting me, wasn't kind, it wasn't loving, it wasn't respectful. So, I've done that for 40 something years, and that's not working out so great. What if we try something different? And it's really that what if, that, again, like you said earlier, Janice, it takes away that gavel of judgment. When we just allow ourselves the what if, let's explore, let's experiment, let's try something different. Being curious doesn't mean that you're going to fail, because curiosity is just gathering information. And when we can gather information from that observation deck of non-judgment, then it's just information. It's data that we can look at and decide how we want to move forward.
Data's good or data's bad, right? It's the data, not the person, that's for sure.
Yeah, we aren't our emotions. We aren't our experiences. And when we can make that separation and see it for what it is, and the lessons that were learned through all of it, there are some experiences that feel better than others, but there are lessons learned in both. Then we can make the choice. Do we choose to continue learning our lessons under fire? I was tired of getting my ass burned. I choose to learn lessons with ease and grace. And that's, we don't have to continue to learn under fire. It is a choice.
I even think that part of being in the dark place is you stop being curious. So that's part of the darkness, because I love learning. I love figuring things out. So when I'm in the dark place, I'm not curious. So that's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. And even with, I know that I have found that the lows, and I've said this before on the show, the lows don't feel as low. The darkness doesn't feel as dark. The heavy doesn't feel as heavy, because I have an understanding that it's not who I am. I am not sad. I am feeling sadness. I am not grief. I am feeling grief. And when I was able to make that separation, that I am not my emotion, I am not my experience, it allowed me to really function in a space where I didn't judge myself as much. It's not to say that I don't judge, and there aren't things that still automatically come out. I drop a pen and I'll be like, you dumbass, why'd you drop a pen? And then it's like, I laugh at myself. Like, why would you call yourself a dumbass because you dropped a pen? But
I know it.
Yeah, that would automatically happen with me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking, I read something about teenagers who are identifying themselves as depressed or whatever, and how what you're saying is making me think about that, and how it's good to start questioning them or talking to them about to be curious to know, okay, you aren't that, maybe that might be an emotion you're feeling, but they start creating their life around the identity that they're depressed. So you got to keep that curiosity going, so that they will think that about things more than just, okay, I'm a label now and that's who I am. It's interesting. That just triggered that in me.
Perfect. Because we live in a world that's full of labels. Everything's labeled. Everything has a label. Everything has a name. So when we can say, I'm experiencing depression, not I am depressed, I'm experiencing this, because experiences are temporary, good and bad. It's all temporary. And when we can remind ourselves that it's temporary, it lightens the load. This is temporary. Your sadness is temporary. You're experiencing this grief. It's temporary. Emotions are meant to flow. And nothing is, the good, the bad, the evil, it's all temporary.
Yeah.
Be here now is all about us being present in this moment. That's what we have. That's the solid. That's what is here. And, it is constantly changing and shifting. So when we can master the art of being curious, detach from the negative and the judgment, and just see it for what it is, that's the truth. There's the truth right there. And in that truth, we find peace.
Yes.
Yeah. Awareness is key, and awareness is always that first step. Curiosity brings the awareness.
I mean, this whole curiosity thing is like with my teenage granddaughter. It's about, inspiring or trying to teach a model curiosity, so she doesn't get stuck in that one self-identifier.
Exactly.
So what you can do to role model that and to show that, I think would be good.
You already are. She's seeing, everybody sees the shift in you. Everybody feels the energetic shift in you, Janice. You're doing such a great job. You really are. And again, I'm so grateful that you said yes to being on this show.
Well, I tell you, the thing I thought of for the show for curiosity was, I was just curious, okay, so I don't do my daily gratefulness exercise that is recommended. And it's like, okay, so I know what can I do though to get me to do that? And I was just curious, what can I do? And I tried doing a video, and it's just amazing to me that I've been doing it nearly every day for probably a month now or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a life of its own kind of, and it's just
It's
curious. And just curious, what's it going to do? I want to remember, don't forget, I keep saying, you're doing this for yourself. You can't get caught up in the social media hierarchy or whatever that it's easy to get caught up in. It's nice doing it for yourself, and then it's helping other people. Or like you said, it's you can be valuable in just being yourself. You don't have to do something to be valuable. So I am just being myself and doing this, and it's having some value to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the weirdest thing.
And most
so curiosity,
value for you.
Yeah. So I am curious, definitely. That's
Mm-hmm.
why these things are happening and the way they're happening. It's very curious. It's all very curious.
Yeah. When I knew that I was shifting and evolving and, headed in the healing direction, when my first response wasn't, what the fuck's wrong with you? It was like, why did I do that? Why did I say that?
Yeah.
That's a huge shift. It's a huge energetic shift. So when you could start asking, be curious and ask the why. Ask the whys and ask the what ifs. My dad used to say, that was the other saying. My dad used to say, what if a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass? And I was like, what are you even saying? What are you even saying? That's madness.
Was that an answer to one of your why questions when you were young?
Might have been, Oh, it's funny. Good that we can laugh at it.
Yeah. To get out of calling myself stupid, one of the things I did is I said, say silly instead. So I would just say, oh, you're silly. That's silly. And that was my first step. That helped.
That silly definitely has a more playful energy. I like that.
Yeah.
Definitely. We need to get back to playing more,
Yeah. True.
So before we part ways, let's leave you with some new ideas about curiosity if we haven't completely sold it for you yet. How about we have 2 parting memes? One of them by Billy Cox. Replace fear of the unknown with curiosity. Instead of being afraid of what you don't know, be curious and learn more about it. Experiment, explore. And then the other one is anonymous. They don't want you to know who said it, but curiosity is the most powerful thing you own. Janice, you love to learn. Curiosity allows you to learn as much as you want.
It feeds me. Actually, like, why do they do that? Or like, whatever it is about. And then I want to learn, and it actually gives me a little bit of that spark back that I always feel like I'm missing. But when I get it back, it's usually about curious about something. I like that.
Curiosity was the key to the door that led me to self-awareness. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was the key that I could sit in non-judgment and ask why. Why do I believe the things I believe? Why do I do the things I do? Why is this a pattern? Is this a pattern that is healthy for me? Is this feeding my peace, or is it feeding my limitations?
Yeah.
When you make peace the priority and you're willing to be curious and ask yourself why you're doing the things that you're doing, then you make that choice. You're either going to feed the peace or you're going to feed the limitation. Yeah, it's really shifted a lot for me. It was that key to self-awareness. Yeah.
And I think one of my greatest strengths is that I've always been able to kind of stand outside and look at myself.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I didn't always just say you're a worthless piece of crap, which is what the first thought would be. But the ability to do that was one of my greatest strengths. And watching yourself and why am I doing that? Being curious about it, or what's going on there. That's so powerful. So I think it is the most powerful thing. Well, I don't know if it's the most, but could be the most very powerful tool.
That's extremely powerful. And it's so great that you've been able to do that. I call that sitting on that observation deck of non-judgment. It's great that you are securing your place in the non-judgment room.
Yeah. I shall overcome.
Woohoo!
It's not the same meaning as I shouldn't take that because it has a whole meaning and power in its own.
Always. All right. So we want to thank you for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember,
You're not alone.
and don't ever forget that you are awesome. We appreciate you tuning in with us, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Janice.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for me. Take care, everybody.